Sawasdee krap. Good evening, distinguished guests and all the guests in tonight's talk. My name is Prong Kongsubto. I'm the Chief of Staff of Lumentum. We will talk a little bit about the Lumentum and then the photonic industry. But I'm glad that I talk after Jane's. She paved some of the key information. So I would like to capture first. That is the key one that allude to my talk. The first one, she mentioned about the co-packaging opticals. I think you start to hear that word, co-packaging opticals. The second one is that we have to find a way to consume less of the energies once we go into the AI era. Okay. So let me start from my talk. Let's see as the overall infrastructure for communications. You can take a look that you have data center, you have metro, you have long haul, you have access, you have submarine. Everything is the backbone of our communication at this time. Right? And just want to hint it, in every connections connected through light, no more electricities. Everything connected through light. Light is the fastest in the universe. And light uses the less energy. So this is to give you that where is the technology are. Lumentum is the company who we call ourselves a photonic company. Right? Not the electronic company, but we use a lot of electronics, but we are the photonics company based upon the product that operate based upon light. Right? So you can see that start from my far left, right? You have the mobile phone, you have the access of the 5G, whatever, that is based upon the wave. Then somehow they have to convert into the electricities. After they convert into electricities, now once we go to the network that we have, it got to find a way to transfer itself to be light. Think carefully. At your home, you use the fiber optics. I think everyone uses fiber optics. What is the function of the fiber optics? Fiber optics carry the light. So when you do anything at home, everything translates into the signal translates into the light, go into the fiber optics. That is where the light begins. And the whole network, I told you earlier, don't need to switch back into electricity anymore. We manipulate everything in the light form, including the submarine. When we start to connect from one continent to another continent, also light. Maybe you don't know that 99% of data in the world using the fiber optics in the submarine, not the satellites, in the submarine. Okay. So this is the product that Lumentum serves, or other company who do the photonics serve. Right? So I want to talk to you that is the infrastructure in the last 10 years that also has been shifted a lot. Nowadays, data center and AI coming in. It even more sophisticated. I will show you the picture. I don't surprise about the word data center. It's data center. It's been around since 1945. Right? This is 1945 pictures. I will hint you a bit that when the world invent the transistor is 1947. The first integrated circuit, which is used transistor combined, 1958. Look at this data center. This is 1945. So they operate based upon the vacuum tubes, right? But maybe not that sophisticated. But you look at that rooms, it consumes 150 kilowatt of power. So the data center and the consuming of the power is there since 1945. It's go together. Now we talk about the modern data center. You can see that it starts from maybe 40 years ago, 30 years ago, when we have the microprocessor. Microprocessor is like a brain. You want to be smarter, so add brain, more brain. Keep adding on, become the shelf, collect a lot of things, right? Then become the rack. You combine together, become the rack. And from the rack, from the rack itself, you have multiple racks together. That is where data center keep expanding. I show the picture on my left-hand side, the bottom one. If you Google today, they claim that this is the largest data center in the world in Mongolia, China. It used 150 megawatts and also equivalent to 140 football fields in terms of space. So this is the site of the largest data center, and it's in Mongolia. Do you know why it is in Mongolia? It's cold, right? So we don't have to use a lot of energies to serve it. However, it keeps scale bigger and bigger. What is the 150 megawatt means? 150 megawatt is mean 75,000 to 150,000 homes. That is for Mongolia data center that we talk about. And I just try to use also AI also, generate the pictures. Maybe the data in the futures maybe have to be next to the nuclear plant so that you have enough power. So everything boils down to what we need now is lower energy per bit to keep it, and the faster of the speed. Talk about data center, you talk about the AI, no matter what you talk about, everything boils down to lower energy per bit and faster the speed. So this is ultimate goal for the whole infrastructures. Lumentum also is in this area now. We are in the AI power scaling, right? We work on light, so that it is talk about the speed. So we are the fastest because we work on the light. We also work on the light because of it is the less power consumption. So the technologies can improve the power efficiency. Definitely will be lower power per bit of data. We increase ability to scale AI. And the more of data center that come to the world, the more photonic has been put into the infrastructure. I will talk about that a little bit on those as well. But like Jane mentioned, co-packaging co-packaging optical is one of those already. Right? They start to bring optic close to the microcontroller. So I mapped the whole data center. You can see that from data center interconnect, which is connect to other data center, with internal, so you have multiple product already that rely on the light technology or the photonic technology. Optical circuit switch to switch the optical inside the data center. Transceiver to connect the rack together, to connect the shelf together. You have the long haul, the transmission so that they can transmit the data among the locations. So we start to see more of the photonic play role into the data center and the AI. So we start to see that inside the data center, we see the photonic in there. Outside of data center, you also see the photonic devices in there because they have to connect between the data center. And I put some remark in the purples. The market opportunity growing due to the scale-up photonic to provide a further upside inside the data center. So co-packaging optical is one of those. So the more data center we have, the more of the photonics devices involved in there. Then you cannot grow so fast, or you cannot build so big data center right now. You cannot have like 500 football field data center you talk about the security, you talk about the risk assessment. You don't want to build that big, too big. So we still have to have still big data center, but not that big, connected to each other. That is why they also have opportunity for the grid power required to spread out the data center. They still need to connect each other using the optical or the photonic as well. So at this point, I summary that the photonic become player from the AI, machine learning, and also the data center. I want to switch gear a bit so that it's close to us now in the room. This is semiconductor supply chain. Right? I'm in the semiconductor for 35, 40 years. I am semiconductor guys since 1990s. But if you look at the supply chain of the semiconductor start from IC design. The beauty about IC design is everything function at that level. You complete everything in there by the function. The rest you connect it out, right? You have the design, you build the wafer fab. The chip itself is already contain all the function. The assembly test is just to connect them out and test it. And then you go to PCB, PCBA. Right? And you talk about Thailand itself, we have that chain here and there, except wafer fabs that we don't yet have it. But to serve the semiconductor industry, you also need the equipment, you need human resources. We don't have much supplier to semiconductor reside in Thailand. That is a challenge. Right? In the last 20 years, 30 years, we don't have much. Everything is either in neighbor country or somewhere else. Right? It never move into the country. It's not similar to automotive industry. When automotive come to Thailand, they have the first tier, second tier, third tier come along. Semiconductor, we don't have that come along. Right? We still buy the molding compound from Japan, from the other country. We still got some part from Malaysia flying in. Simply because they said, okay, within a night, you can get it. Okay. On the other hand, I map to the photonic value chain. It's different from the semiconductor. We have multiple layers of the designs. Chip designs mainly is just to let light emit out. Chip designs, or a little bit of the function, more like a discrete. You have component design. When you have the chip that be able to emit the laser, now we want to use that laser for something else, we have to do the component designs. Even further, when you have the component, you want to have more sophisticated function. You need to have module designs. And at the end, you also need system designs. So there are many levels of the designs in the photonic industry. Right? But if you take a look at the value chain, you have the wafer fab, wafer test, the same thing, advanced packaging, chip on substrate, module assembly, sub-assembly, and until the system assembly. All of those based upon each level of the design. So it is not chip alone. You got to have electronic come in at some layer. You need to have some optics that come later. So you look at the supplier that to feed into this value chain include electronics, include mechanics and chemical, and include opticals. And that is the opportunities. That is the real opportunity that you can play in any layer that they have. Nowadays, I think because of the change in the geopolitics that we have, we start to see about 20 to 30 of the supplier move into Thailand. Don't count the number of the photonic company who do that. We also have multiple of those come in. So there's an opportunity start to open up for the country that we have the photonic company itself come, we also have the supplier come. We start to see the same picture when we have the automotive in Thailand. Right? So what I'm seeing is here, there's still a lot of rooms in the value chain. at that wafer level until the assembly, advanced packaging, and all the module assembly. We also have opportunity for EMS. We outsource some process. We outsource some level. This is opportunity. So we have EMS opportunity in this whole value chain. We have supplier in this whole value chain, including machine, tool, jig, fixture, and gas. So if you look at what is required, some of them also allude to what James mentioned earlier. If you dare enough, we want to have some niche fabs. We don't go to silicon fabs. Silicon fab is a huge one. You cannot invest huge, that kind of thing, too much. But for the niche fab, sensor fab, MEM fabs, LCOS fab, wafer guide fab. So you talk about the wafer fab, which is used about 100 people, 120 people. We also still require advanced packaging or advanced assembly process. Copper pillar, flip chips, laser dicing, stealth dicing, right? I think the question from Nat that's already mentioned that, oh, is that copper pillar required? I think if I ask, I said yes, because nowadays we cannot do copper pillar in Thailand at all. We were fortunate that the company also do stealth dicing. Okay, we start to see stealth dicing also in Thailand. We have advanced testing. And we also need localization of the supplier, PCB, PCBA, casting, stamping for the metal, advanced materials, the fiber array, optical components, optical cable, chemical and adhesive. All of those still required. Right? So if you look at this whole supply chain, it's this opportunity for the country in any layer. You might ask that, is that photonic require those electronics, those PCBA, those metal parts, is that real? I will show you a few examples. This is a picture of what we want. As part of along the value chain, we also want the PCBA, rigid PCBA, flex PCBA, cable assembly. We still not need those kind of parts. We also need this mechanical part. You can see the molding, CNC milling of multiple kinds, sheet metal, molding, aluminum die casting, zinc die casting, or the milling and blasting. That is a part that we use in the whole supply chain. We also use other mechanics as well, like the text or the thermal, or hermetic packaging, ceramic submount. We still use all of those in our supply chain. And of course, optics, crystal, lens, TOSA, IPA, any kind of the optics. We have to change our idea. When we talk to a student, right? We talk to some university, when we talk about, okay, we want to do the optics. People will think about, it's a lens like my eyeglasses. Right? So optic is more than that. There are a lot of things related to optics in this industry. So in summary, the photonic industry become increasing presence in the AI, in the data center. It have a long value chain. Yeah, the one that I show you from the module assembly until the sub-assembly, system assembly. Lumentum ourselves, we do everything in Thailand. Okay. We have 6,000 people at this point. And we have multiple products in many layers. We want to have more of the contract manufacturing or EMS to work with us. We also want to have more of the supplier to work with us in optics, mechanical, PCBA, electronic part. And that is what I see as opportunity for the country to move into the next X curve. Thank you very much.